Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Testimony Tuesday. This is BJ Garrett, Executive Director for Christ-Centered Abortion Recovery and Education. And today I am here with my sweet friend, Thrible. Thrible, welcome to our program. Introduce yourself, my friend.
Hi, BJs. So good to see you again. I'm Thrible Bowie. My husband and I have been married for 30 plus years, 33 this year. So have two sons, and I appreciate you having me on here to tell my story.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Well, let's just dive right in and share, and let's just go back to when you chose abortion and kind of tell us a little bit about your home life and what led you to abortion, and we'll just start right there.
Okay. I'm one of 7 children. My mom and dad were married, never divorced or anything, and they were just a model for a good marriage. I respected them and didn't want to disappoint them. So growing up in school, tried to be the good girl, make the good grades and things like that. And anyway, was pretty much a good girl, quote unquote. I When I was 16, got a job, and I was a cashier, and this young man would pay attention to me, and I enjoyed, thinking that he was, he liked me and that we were going to be good friends. And so we started dating. And he was from a background, well, I was not in church. He was not in church. His parents had been divorced several times. And anyway, I think that was part of our problem is because we had 2 different backgrounds. I was intending, my dream was grow up, get married, have children, and lead a happy life. And anyway, we started seeing each other, and before too long, I found out I was pregnant. And
Now, how old were you? Tell me how old you were at the time.
I was 16, pretty naive, really naive, not very learned of the ways of guys, and didn't know a whole lot about sex, to tell you the truth. So anyway, I was a people pleaser. I wanted to please him. The good girl kind of went the way of pleasing him. So found out I was pregnant, did not know what to do. Talked to my sister, which honestly, this has been 40 something years ago, and I do not remember details. I mean, I know I've tried to block it out. I know I've shoved it way down in my past and tried not to bring it back up. Never talked about it again. So I'm getting ahead of my story, but talked to my sister. I don't really remember her advice. I did not choose abortion. I don't even think I knew what it was. It was a word that I had to look up. So I was in a fix. I wanted to please my boyfriend, didn't want to disappoint my family, my mother. My dad had already passed away. So I was, single. My mom was widowed, raising 3 teenagers. So I didn't want to go to her and put that burden on her. Never told my mom. And then my boyfriend said, well, I have a friend who's had the same situation, and they had an abortion. And I was like, well, what does that mean? Well, the problem goes away. And I was like, okay, I won't have to be. He was not intending to marry me at that point. And So I went along with it. Wanted to please him, didn't want to lose him, and didn't want to raise a child by myself. And I went along with it. I didn't, yes, it was ultimately my choice, but I did not, initially, I did not, that was not my first option. I didn't
Wow.
know what my options were. I was scared. I was 16 and he was scared. He was 16. I've got to remember that too,
Sure.
because for a long time I blamed him solely
Yeah.
for what happened.
Yeah.
Um,
Thrible, I so relate to that. And like for me, my first abortion, the father is who didn't want our baby. And so I so much for so many years, like all of the anger that I really probably should have had at myself, I put all on him because in my mind, I wanted my baby. He didn't want the baby. So it was his fault that I chose abortion. The truth was, is it was our fault. And I was as much to blame for my own heartache and the loss of our child as he was. But for some, I mean, and for years, it was through when I went through my first care Bible study that I really had to deal with that because in my mind it was his fault. He was 100%
exactly.
to blame, and I had zero responsibility, which is really foolish to think that because I'm the one ultimately that went through with the procedure of abortion. So I completely get that though.
Well, that was when I dealt with that part of it, was through the Care Bible study. Um, it was um, it was strange how, not strange, but I smile now because I know how the Lord works. He, if he wants you to do something or he wants to heal you, he's going to lead you along that path. And I smile, but I cry at the same time because he's so awesome. But I'll just go through how I came to care. Um, it was really an odd situation because I felt like the Lord was leading me to do something, and I hadn't the first clue what that was. But I told him, I'll do whatever you want, but no, I'm not telling my story. Not going there, leaving that there. So um, anyway, I went to this conference and thinking, okay, this is going to tell me what I need to be doing, how I need to um, pursue what the Lord wants me to do. Well, I think going to that conference told me um, that was not my issue. That was not what I needed to be doing. I needed to deal with what was in my past. So I cried the whole conference. Didn't really, I just really flubbed it up good. Cried the whole conference, but got back. I had a Bible study that I was going to, and the girls were praying for me, and it just kind of, I just kind of kept it, not on the forefront of things, but I kept it in the back of my mind. Okay, the Lord wants me to do something. I'm trying to figure out what that is, and just got into the Word, started reading my Bible a lot more, and in the process of being in the Bible study, well, I need to go back a little bit. Sorry.
It's okay.
When I was at the conference, like I said, I just flubbed up, cried the whole time, and that was what was bothering me. The abortion in my past was what was bothering me. I couldn't really focus on what I thought I needed to be there for, and this really special lady that Tammy,
Oh
she
yes, that's my girl. It's so crazy because before that conference, because I've now gone to the same conference, but before that conference, I didn't know her at all, and now she's become one of my dearest friends.
right, she's easy to get to know, but she was trying to help me to process what was going on with me. I was crying. I mean, just literally holding back the tears the whole time. So on the part where you go and talk about what you're going to talk about, I just told her, I said, I think there's nothing funny about this, and I like to make people laugh, and I just don't see how that goes together because what's in my past is not funny. And she said, well, would you want to talk about it? And so I told her I'd been, I'd had 2 abortions, and I was divorced, and there was nothing funny about that. She said, "Oh my gosh, you've got to meet BJ Garrett." And I was like, "Okay." But really, we really didn't connect the dots and follow up on that. But okay, when I got back from my conference and told the girls, all about it, and they've been praying for me. I don't know if it was the first time we met or the second time, but anyway, there was a lady in the class, and we were talking about things one day, and she happened to mention uh, care, and I was like, okay. And the lady next to me, I said, what is care? What's she talking about? She told me it was cross-centered abortion recovery and education. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my God. Like, it was like I knew the Lord was telling me, you got to talk to this lady. So I told her, I need to talk to you about something sometimes. I didn't know what it was going to lead to,
Yeah.
but oh my gosh,
You're
I
back.
think
You're
I
good.
think I'm fixing to lose you. My batteries. I'm so sorry. Um, Lost my train of thought.
We're
Do
talking
you,
about you getting when you met Janet, and when you're going to talk to Janet. I'm going to pause the recording, and do you have a charger? Is it okay? I'm going to pause. Okay, charger's in place. Now we'll go back to the story.
Okay. So I told Janet that I really needed to talk to her about something. And of course, she knew immediately what it was. She could see in my eyes. She knew. So after Bible study, we talked for a little bit, and she could tell that I was still hurting, um, very deep wounds, and had never talked to anybody about it. Really, just let it die down and kept a secret. So anyway, she hooked me up with you, and I called you and got set up for the Bible study. I actually went through the Bible study twice. I can't say that I did receive some healing the first time I went through it, but I think maybe it was because I had 2 abortions. Maybe it was because it had been so long ago and it was so pushed down so far that I felt like I needed a second time. But they were both just amazing to find out all the different things that I had been going through, that I was not the only one.
Yeah.
And just all the different aspects of dealing with grief and being wounded and distrust and bitterness and anger, everything that I'd been feeling for all those years, even though it was not something that I talked about or dealt with every day. It was something that was a deep wound that affected me.
Yeah.
And not something I was proud of ever. And I'm not the person that I was back then, by no means.
Sure.
It's just the grace of God that I was allowed to have children. I mean, I had no physical problems, to have children. 2 amazing boys, and I never really thought of the abortions as killing a baby,
Mm. Yeah.
because I believed the lie that, oh, it's early. I don't remember how far along I was, but it's early. It's a blob. It's tissue. If you're not ready to have a baby, it's okay. It's the right thing to do. And I think all the way to that abortion clinic, I don't remember going. I mean, I remember just little blips here and there.
Sure.
I remember being in the waiting room thinking, okay, somebody's going to come out that door and talk to me. Somebody's going to help me, because I didn't tell my parents. My mother.
Mhm.
I didn't tell anyone. But I needed someone to talk to, and there was no one there. I don't remember there being people out on the sidewalk to talk to. I don't remember that at all. Um, I remember I drove home, um, crying, and I got a ticket. I got pulled over, and he was
Wow.
asleep. I was just like, "Oh my gosh." I was a mess.
Wow.
But,
So, because I don't remember, and I should know this, I'm sorry, but were both of your abortions with the same father, or were they different relationships?
yes. No, I was 16. Um, I was 16 the first one, and I think probably 18 was a couple years later. Same scenario, made the same decision. He was still in school. He was a year, I think a year younger than me. Yeah, he was behind me a year in school. And we made the same decision.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to say it was easier the second time, but I remember less about the second one than I do the first one.
Sure.
Um,
I think that's common too. And it's kind of like it doesn't make sense when you're talking about it because just putting words to it. Like I think like my first abortion was so painful, so traumatic, so emotional, so awful. How could you ever do that again?
mhm,
But for some reason, many of us who have already chosen abortion, when we have another unplanned pregnancy, it's almost like it was horrible, but it did get rid of the problem. Now, it didn't really get rid of any problem. It just instigated more problems and more
exactly.
pain and more heartache. It was like pouring gasoline on a fire, but there's no physical representation of our problem as
Yeah,
a baby. And so, but again, if you're watching this and you think, how could you do that? Or how, whatever, I'm just gonna let you know that it is tragic, but it happens every single day. And if you're wondering how does that happen, you just have to talk to people because it happens. It's happening in the church. Women are unfortunately believing the lie that abortion gets rid of the problem, and that's not true. And it's heartbreaking, and we're not sharing this to justify any of our choices in abortion. We're sharing this because we need women that are watching to know that if you've chosen abortion or if you're contemplating choosing abortion, it is not the quick fix that you think it's going to be. It is not getting rid of a problem. It is just making your problem that much worse. And it doesn't just go away. You may not have a baby in the end of 9 months, but your heartache is not going to go away. Your traumas are not going to go away. And more than likely, your relationships are going to go away. Very few relationships.
exactly. And that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I, I he was he was unfaithful even in our engagement in our relationship. I married him only to find out later, that that was the same case. He was still
Yeah.
unfaithful, and it was another traumatic heartbreak. Um, but you know what? I've always the, Romans 8:28 was the very first verse that I ever learned. I'm After that divorce, I met a friend, a godly lady. She took me in. Um, I had nowhere to go. She brought me to church. She brought me to the Lord. I mean, the Lord draws you in, but she
Sure.
she helped me, in my spiritual walk. And Romans 8:28 was the first verse that I learned. I had not been in church, but I started going to church, and I was in church every time the doors were open. And people thought that was a little weird, but hey, I was, I knew what I did was wrong. I knew about God. I didn't know God.
Yeah.
And so Romans 8:28, God works all things together for good to those who love the Lord and are called according to his purposes. And I believe that he could work good through everything that I had been through. And I just kind of clung to that promise, and he's very compassionate and merciful and forgiving.
Yeah.
And he brought me out of that. He brought me to a place where I could be happy again. I wasn't healed necessarily. I didn't even know I needed healing. I was like, okay, I've been forgiven. I've been saved. I've been forgiven. What are you talking about? Healing. But it's a wound. It's a wound that you're not bleeding from, but your heart is. It's that bad.
Yeah. I had a
So
person tell me one time that the church is really good about addressing the sin of abortion, but they're not very good about addressing the wound of abortion. And I think that's where care is so beneficial for the church,
mhm,
is because we don't say abortion's good or okay ever and under any circumstances. Um, but that doesn't mean there's not a wound left over from abortion. And so
right.
the church can talk about the sin of abortion and then allow care to come in and address the wounds left over from abortion. Because when you're wounded, you are not able to serve the kingdom or the church or your family or your jobs or anything like you can if you're healed.
Mhm,
Can't I mean, think about a wounded bird. A wounded bird cannot fly. When you have a wounded person, you are limited in what you can do. So when those wounds begin to heal, and you're truly set free to do whatever it is that God has for you to do, you're able to do it. Which is why, again, I love care so much, because that was me. I was serving in full-time ministry. I think you know this. I was
mhm,
full-time ministry and nobody knew my story. And I thought I was rocking it, right? I mean, I love Jesus, I led Bible study, I taught Sunday school, I did all the things, and no one knew my secret. And it was
right.
after my care Bible study when I realized, oh my gosh, like, wow, I didn't know this was affecting me. That, I mean, my ministry just took off from there because I was free to do truly without any shame or guilt what God had called me to do. So,
I wasn't serving in the ministry, but I was in Bible studies, and I would sit there, and I never told my story, but I would relate the Bible stories, the verses, the scripture to what I had been through, and I would serve as a Sunday school director, but I never felt good enough even for that role. Just
yeah.
it was always something that was in the, I'm not worthy. I'm not
Yeah.
worthy to be serving because of what I've done.
Yeah. I just so relate to that. And I know the women that are watching this can so relate to that. And so I thank you for sharing that. And just kind of as we wrap up this episode of Testimony Tuesday, anything left, anything that you want to just share with those that are watching, to encourage them, to challenge them, whatever. This is kind of your moment to share your heart to the ladies that are watching, to the men that are watching.
Well, first of all, um, as a teenager, you don't know everything. Okay. So there are there is help. There's people that can help you, that can counsel you. I never sought counseling um, for prior to the abortion or after, but there are people that can help you. And if it has already been a part of your life, if it's already something that has wounded you, there is forgiveness. There is God. God is compassionate. He does not want us to hurt, and He is forgiving, and it is a forgivable sin. Um, you have to repent. Um, your heart has to really be sorrowful for what you've done. Um, but He will heal you. He heals the brokenhearted. That's
That's
one of
our
the verses.
verse. Yeah.
That's it. And I love it. And I was brokenhearted. I really was. So
I
I
love
thank
that.
you for doing what you do, and just serving the Lord in this way. I know there's maybe someone that I know, but I don't know their story. Maybe there's someone that knows me and don't know my story. They will now. So I hope that I can point them in the direction to seek forgiveness from Jesus and serve Him. I hope to serve him in some way.
Well, thank you so much. And just as Thrible said, if you have the story of abortion, please, we have studies scheduled all throughout the year. We can do them in several different formats now. COVID, unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately, not unfortunately, has forced us to go outside of the box on how we offer our program, but we do have in-person studies scheduled. So please contact us today. And just remember that no matter what you have done, no matter what's been done to you, there is hope and healing in Jesus Christ. And abortion is not limited to that. I mean, he loves you and he wants you to live a free, full life without the burden of abortion. So thank you, my sweet friend, for sharing
Thank you.
story. Y'all that are watching this is not easy. It's not easy for me. It's not easy for any of my sweet friends that get on this program. But we care so much that you hear the truth about abortion and the truth that there is help out there that we do this anyways. Please don't let us do this in vain. Share the videos, tell your friends that there is help. Maybe you don't have the story of abortion, but I promise you someone you love does have the story of abortion. So please share these videos and let's get the word out so that they know there's hope and healing. So, all right, that's it. Have a great day. Thank you, Thrible.
Thank you.
I will
God
see you soon,
bless.
my friend. Bye-bye.
Bye.